Chapter 2296, Fei Wu Revives. Chapter 2296, Fei Wu revives giant sun immortal venerable had a strange expression just earlier. A transaction between him and heaven refining demon venerable was held. Both sides obtained what they wanted. But Fang Yuan has needs for childbirth. What is he planning? This transaction made giant sun immortal venerable quite suspicious, but he knew that because of Dao marks, Gu immortal found it hard to give birth to. And in terms of having children, among the venerables, giant sun immortal venerable was the most experienced that among the venerables. Which other person had more children than giant sun immortal venerable? Back then, to raise more children, giant sun immortal venerable searched the world for countless beauties, creating his 5 harem palaces. If Fang Yuan did not suddenly have this need, we would not have done this transaction. Sigh. To think that I would benefit now because of you, Zhu. Giant sun immortal venerable muttered a name as the memories of a scene emerged in the depths of his heart. Northern Plains, in a temporary tribe. Tents were set up. The flap of an old and tattered tent was pulled aside as middle-aged giant sun barged in, shouting, Zhu, what goo did you secretly use on me again? Middle-aged giant sun had a bare chest that exposed his manly stature, but there was a pig head resting on his shoulders. Zhu saw him and laughed. It worked. Middle-aged giant sun was furious. Zhu, I was discussing matters with the tribe elders earlier. When this happened, you will turn me into the laughing stock of the tribe. Zhu sighed. Husband, I apologized, but I just want a child. Middle-aged giant sun was stunned before becoming dejected. His anger faded away. It's my fault for being useless. No, it is my issue. Technically, I have half a Gu immortal's body. It is my fault. Zhu stood before giant sun as she held his pig head, saying with love and affection, this time, I used transformation path Gu. Do you know? This is called sowing pig. It is an amazing wild beast that has gone extinct. The male pig would eat in autumn and get fat to spit out a type of crystal flower that when spring arrives, the crystal flower will bloom and the female pig will eat it to nurture new life in its body. Middle-aged giant sun's eyes shone. It is so effective? Zhu smiled and pulled his hand, dragging him into bed. Let's go. Middle-aged giant sun laughed loudly as he pounced at Zhu at the top of their tent. There was a flag at this moment. The flag started waving around intensely like the wind was blowing, but after just a few breaths of time, the flag went motionless within the tent. Giant sun spoke in a guilty tone. Sorry, Zhu, I can't continue anymore. Zhu smiled. Don't worry, I have my methods. Next, giant sun let out a soft growl as the tent started to shake again like a hurricane was blowing at this time. He lasted for over 10 breaths of time. The commotion in the tent stopped again at giant sun's side. Sorry, I can't continue anymore. Zhu smiled and said, Don't worry, watch this. For the 3rd time, the tent shook intensely like there was a storm, but this storm only lasted for around 20 breaths of time before stopping. That giant sun breathed roughly as he said, Sorry, I really can't continue anymore. Zhu was still smiling. Don't worry, I still have some methods left. Wait, giant sun said weakly. I am amazed that you have so many methods. But let me rest. Zhu replied humbly. Although I have many methods, the results are not good. Sigh. The most useful method can only come from Renzu. All of the humans of the 5 regions and 2 heavens are descendants of Renzu. Giant sun immediately patted his chest and assured, Don't worry, one day, I will comprehend Renzu's method and we will have countless descendants. His recollection ended here. A deep feeling of disappointment lingered in giant sun immortal venerable's heart. In his previous life, he had already grasped such a method. Otherwise, how could he have so many descendants? It was just that he could not use this method with Zhu anymore. He could never see her again. His children were also not of her bloodline. After collecting his thoughts, giant sun immortal venerable's expression turned calm and cool again. He inspected the gains from this transaction. He had obtained a lot of blood path research results from Fang Yuan. Although he had been secretly making deductions on blood path, Fang Yuan's research results still saved him a lot of time and energy. Other than that, there were 5 blood path immortal Gu. Giant Son, immortal venerable, refined them into his own and tossed them into blood sea.Blood sea. Giant Son, immortal venerable's gaze pierced through the ground of longevity heaven, gazing into blood sea. Even if rank 9 light goo was repaired, it was not suitable for Giant Son, immortal venerable. However, although he had no rank 9 immortal goo, Giant Son, immortal venerable could use blood sea as a replacement temporarily. There were 4 different levels when it came to Dao mark density. Dao marks that were scattered all over the world, resource points that were created when Dao marks were arranged in a certain manner, the apex of resource points, secluded domains of heaven and earth, as well as the essence of heaven and earth. A secluded domain of heaven and earth was considered half a rank 9 immortal goo. And when goo immortals use immortal materials to form killer moves or immortal formations, the materials were consumable and could not have a stable form. Thus, the Dao marks were lost after usage, but a secluded domain of heaven and earth could be used as a long-term stable core to form killer moves. Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal and Deng Hun Luo Pasil were such examples. Star constellation immortal venerable has mental domain, while Fang Yuan may have refinement sea. This blood sea is the foundation that I need to resist them. Back then, Giant Son, immortal venerable had worked with long-hair ancestor to refine goo. He knew about this grand plan of long-hair ancestors. Giant Son, immortal venerable felt that for this period of time, refining natural Dao marks of heaven and earth was the most important thing, but trying to get a rank 9 immortal goo that was suitable for himself was not realistic. In this case, a secluded domain of heaven and earth was the best substitute. Among the venerables, the one who has the highest hope of getting a rank 9 immortal goo is Fang Yuan. In terms of potential, he is also the highest. Thankfully, he has insufficient immortal essence and is unable to refine rank 9 immortal goo. Once he starts refining goo, he will expose his greatest weakness. At that time, I will work with star constellation immortal venerable to stop him. If Fang Yuan is able to refine any refinement path rank 9 immortal goo, then he will have an easier time refining other rank 9 immortal goo in the future. This will snowball into an unstoppable advantage at an increasing speed. Giant Son, immortal venerable reminded himself of the fact that blood sea surged with huge waves that ebbed and flowed. It was gradually expanding in size. Giant Son, immortal venerable nodded to himself. With 5 more blood path immortal goo, the rate at which blood sea is forming is increasing. In half a year, it will be completed. Blood sea was currently incomplete, although a secluded domain of heaven and earth could be used as the core of a killer move. It was quite a wasteful thing to do, as the secluded domain itself would be expended to a huge extent. For example, Fang Yuan's previously incomplete refinement sea and human sea. Although human sea was complete, only the whole human mountain and sea was considered a secluded domain. Oh, Giant Son, immortal venerable's expression changed. An intense luck path intuition emerged in his heart. The last time he had such a feeling, he revived Light Emperor. The revival of Light Emperor caused him to gain rank 9 light. Gouda now? Giant Son, immortal venerable, was feeling expectant. Although reviving another person now would expend the incomplete blood sea, he did not hesitate as he used the immortal killer move once again. Destined birth through luck. Swish, swish, swish. Blood sea surged and created a huge wave that was tens of feet tall. The blood sea was rapidly expended as a huge whirlpool was formed again after the flickering of shadow and light. A rank 7 goo immortal emerged from within. Who is this? Yao Huang did not recognize the person. Giant Son, immortal venerable's expectations rose again. The reason was that this goo immortal's revival expended even more immortal essence and portion of the blood sea than Light Emperor. But he was just a rank 7 water path, goo immortal. Oh, are you Fei Wu? Yao Huang stared for some time before shouting out loud, Fei tribe's final first supreme elder, Fei Wu. One same pronunciation as trash/worthless. Giant Son, immortal venerable frowned. He remembered now. Fei tribe was once a superforce in northern plains. It had genuine Huang gene bloodline. Fei tribe's first-generation ancestor was not Giant Son, immortal venerable's son, but someone who was many generations below. But Fei tribe was still very famous in history. Or rather, infamous Fei tribe was a Huangjing super tribe that ruined itself. Fei Wu was their final first supreme elder. He was undeniably responsible for their destruction, but many people felt that he was incapable and too greedy. He let down the entire Fei tribe and caused their destruction. When he was the first supreme elder, he expended Fei tribe's vast amount of resources and almost caused them to go broke. As a result, the other Fei tribe Gu immortals lacked cultivation resources and grew slowly. This resulted in their internal conflict. The external world also gave Fei tribe a lot of pressure, but Fei Wu did not handle this well. He had always shown a weak attitude to the outside world. In order to satisfy his own needs, Fei Wu even gave up many resource points that Fei tribe owned. The result was that his battle did not seem to rise. Fei Wu's performance disappointed everyone. In the end, he even led Fei tribe to excavate and develop in one of Northern Plains' 10 great fierce areas. In the end, he triggered a terrifying beast tide and caused Fei tribe's territory to be engulfed. Even their headquarters was taken down. Most of their Gu immortals died in the beast tide, while the remaining ones were quickly annexed and taken in by the other Huangjing tribes. After the beast tide was over, Fei tribe was wiped out, while Fei Wu died pitifully inside the fierce area. Their remaining territory was also taken by the various tribes. The Fei tribe became a laughingstock and the prime negative example for people to learn from. How can such a useless person who harmed his entire tribe appear now? Yao Huang felt confused and suspicious after realizing his revival. Fei Wu reacted and paid his respects to Giant Sun, immortal venerable, unfilial descendant. Fei Wu greets Lord Ancestor. Giant Sun, immortal venerable, had already used his luck inspection method to observe Fei Wu's foundation. He was shocked to find out that Fei Wu's luck was actually quite sizable, far surpassing most rank 7s while being lower than an average rank 8. More importantly, Fei Wu's luck had a close connection to a certain existence far away. This existence luck had an influence on Giant Sun, immortal venerable himself, but Giant Sun, immortal venerable, was a rank 9 venerable. To think that there was actually an entity whose luck could affect him so intensely. Soon, Giant Sun, immortal venerable's voice penetrated the ground and reached Blood Sea. The truth is often buried deep in history. Fei Wu, my descendant, tell me the truth. Chapter 2297. Unified Essence, Z. Giant Sun, immortal venerable's words made Fei Wu shook intensely as he showed an expression of gratitude. Ancestor is wise. The so-called Fei tribe's internal conflict was just our disguise to the outside world. The truth is, if not for that beast tide, how could our united Fei tribe be wiped out? Back then, I expended countless immortal material resources, but I did not use up Fei tribe's foundation. Afterwards, when we developed in the fierce area, I even took away Z, which was deep within it. However, legendary immemorial beast Z had already recovered to a great extent. It was not unconscious. We fell for its ploy and ended up being exterminated by the beast tide. But in the end, our Fei tribe did our best to retaliate. Z did not succeed after all. Its will was completely eradicated by us. It is a huge pity. If Z did not ruin our plan, my Fei tribe would have dominated Northern Plains with an unceasing quantity of immortal essence stones. We will become the #1 Huangjing tribe, and to a certain extent, rival Heavenly Court. After hearing this, Yao Huang stared with wide eyes as he asked consecutive questions. Z? Isn't that a legendary, immemorial, desolate beast which appeared in the earliest history of humanity? Legend says that it was killed by primordial origin immortal venerable. How can it still be alive? An unceasing source of immortal essence stones? Senior, did you unravel the mystery behind Heavenly Court's production of immortal essence stones? Giant Sun, immortal venerable, was silent as he listened. If reviving Fei Wu would get him immortal essence stones, it was not significant enough. However, his luck inspection showed that Fei Wu was very useful to him. Within Blood Sea, Yao Huang was getting more excited. He clasped his fist with his palm and said, "Good. Senior Fei Wu has woken up right on time. As long as we have this way to produce immortal essence stones, we can raise our reputation and catch up to Heavenly Court." This is definitely a great chance now that Heavenly Court has stopped distributing immortal essence stones. Once we take over, it will cause everyone to have a deep impression of longevity heaven beyond Heavenly Court. The more Yao Huang spoke, the happier he got. Heavenly Court stopped distributing immortal essence stones? That's because they can't produce it anymore. Fei Wu was still kneeling on the ground, but he raised his upper body and said with a snicker, he was certain about the reason. Oh? Get up and talk. Tell me about it clearly. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable descended upon Blood Sea. He arrived before Fei Wu. Yes. Fei Wu bowed deeply again before getting up. I will explain from the start. Fei Wu explained slowly. Everyone knows that in this world, primeval energy is infinite. Spirit springs produce primeval stones, but nobody has never found an immortal spring that can produce immortal essence stones. Wild goo, be it mortal or immortal, can absorb primeval energy to activate their abilities. But once they are refined, the goo worm will be someone's possession. They will lose the ability to use primeval energy. They will only be able to use primeval essence or immortal essence. This primeval essence and immortal essence includes both the owner and others. If a goo worm is lent out, the goo worm can still use others' primeval essence or immortal essence. For example, an immortal goo house can use the stored immortal essence of goo immortals inside. What is the root cause of all these? According to my research, the reason is that be it primeval essence or immortal essence, both contain our human will. Wild goo contain heaven's will. They are a product of heaven and earth. Thus, we say that goo is the essence of heaven and earth. Once we refine goo worms, the heavens will inside will be purged, replaced by our human will. As a result, the goo worm becomes privately owned, and the human will does not get acknowledged by the heaven's will of the outside world. Thus, the goo can no longer absorb external primeval energy. If lent to others, the human will inside the goo worm will acknowledge others so they can use their own primeval essence or immortal essence to activate it. Different immortal essence contain different human, thus, they can cancel each other out. This is why many rank 6 goo immortals fail to succeed when they invade blessed lands that are already owned. Yao Huang was confused. What does this have to do with immortal essence stone production? Don't be anxious. Listen to what I am saying. It will make sense soon. Fei Wu waved his hand and smiled. Our aperture produces primeval essence, while our immortal aperture produces immortal essence. They all contain our human will. Then, do primeval stones and immortal essence stones not have a will in them? They do. The primeval stones that spirit springs produce are essentially reinforced primeval essence that contains heaven's will. It is just that the primeval stones contain too little heaven's will. It is common to ignore it. However, the heavens will often sneaks into our minds while we absorb primeval stones to influence our thoughts. This is one way that heavens will use to control us. It is a pity that most goo cultivators in the world are attracted to the effect of restoring primeval essence through primeval stones. They do not notice this issue. Even if they do, they don't care about it. Heaven's will is just like air. It is everywhere, so it is quite normal to have some in primeval stones. The immortal essence stones that Heavenly Court gives out are the same as primeval stones in that they also contain heaven's will. Why does Heavenly Court give out rank 6 immortal essence stones? It is actually a huge scheme by Heavenly Court. During primordial origin Immortal Venerables era, Heavenly Court purposely gave out immortal essence stones. These immortal essence stones reached the hands of the variant human goo immortals and were used by them. This allowed Heaven's will to infiltrate them. Back then, Heaven's will sided with humanity, which would rise to take the position of the variant humans. By star constellation Immortal Venerables era, she became one with the Tao and gained the ability to distort Heaven's will, greatly influencing it. The distribution of immortal essence stones became even more widespread. When goo immortals use these immortal essence stones, they will be infiltrated by Heaven's will, allowing Heavenly Court to influence and control them. Yao Huang heard his words as his mouth opened slightly. So that's it? Can we copy Heavenly Court to distribute immortal essence stones and achieve the same effect for our longevity heaven? Fei Wu shook his head. Unless we can assimilate with the Tao like star constellation Immortal Venerable to alter Heaven's will. Yao Huang was anxious now. Even if we can't achieve the same effect, as long as we have an unceasing supply of immortal essence stones, we can still use it to longevity heaven's benefit. Senior Fei, how can we produce immortal essence stones? Fei Wu waved his hand again. No rush, no rush, listen to my story. When we produce primeval essence, our human will and aperture are needed. When we produce immortal essence, our human will and immortal aperture are needed. To produce primeval stones, we need heaven's will and spirit springs. What about immortal essence stones? Yao Huang blinked. Do we also need heaven's will and immortal apertures or immortal springs to create immortal essence stones? Fei Wu shook his head. Many rank 8 Gu immortals who are not confident of passing a tribulation will annex an immemorial 9 heavens fragment. From then on, the immortal aperture will turn into a grotto heaven. It will be located at one place, while the rank 8 Gu immortal will be like a caged bird unable to leave the immortal aperture again. These grotto heavens contain heaven's will. There is also an immortal aperture, so why can't immortal essence stones be produced? As for heaven's will and immortal springs, this is something that people have been speculating about Heavenly Court. They think that Heavenly Court obtained the only immortal spring in the world. But the truth is, this is not true. There is no such thing as an immortal spring in the world. Yao Huang sighed. Senior Fei, stop beating about the bush. Even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable commented. Tell us directly. Fei Wu did not dare to defy Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. He sighed regrettably and said, Then I'll cut to the chase. According to my research, the essence of a spirit spring is just an ordinary heaven path resource point. Within it, there are heaven path, water path, and earth path down marks. Because of the heaven's will, the spring water can produce solid primeval stones. The heavenly Tao seeks balance of the myriad beings. It will not produce a resource like immortal essence stones naturally. Immortal essence is the most fundamental resource. Without it, no immortal goo can be used by people. Meanwhile, the widespread distribution of immortal essence stones has greatly raised the chances of surviving calamities and tribulations. This can only be caused by people. However, the process cannot avoid heaven's will. Only through the injecting of heavens will can there be immortal essence stones produced. This is an impossible loop. Fei Wu accurately pointed out that heaven's will was the most crucial element in producing immortal essence stones. But it was impossible to make heaven's will do this voluntarily as it violated the rules of the heavenly Tao. But nothing was absolute. In history, Heavenly Court succeeded. During primordial origin Immortal Venerable's era, he used the special trait of Ichi-Z to produce immortal essence stones. During star constellation Immortal Venerable's era, Ichi-Z suicided, but she assimilated with the Tao and altered heaven's will, allowing it to work with Heavenly Court to produce immortal essence stones. So, what is the special trait of Ichi-Z? Since it suicided, how did it revive? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable asked the most important question. Fei Wu immediately answered. Ichi-Z is not its full name. Its actual name is Unified Essence Ichi-Z. It is a very special legendary immemorial desolate beast, somewhat similar to Di Zong Sheng, which appeared later in the future. When a Gu master undergoes immortal ascension, there is a crucial step to draw in heaven and earth qi to mix with one's human qi and balance all three. If the balancing of 3 qi succeeds, the qi lump will condense and become smaller until it reaches the limit. This qi lump is known as the qi of unified essence. This is the root cause of the creation of unified essence Ichi-Z. As long as there are Gu masters undergoing immortal ascension in the world, they will produce the qi of unified essence. Even if it is destroyed, it can be reborn. Initially, during the immemorial era, it was granted intelligence by a beastman great expert. Thus, it gained an immortal aperture and rose in strength, becoming a legendary immemorial beast. When primordial origin Immortal Venerable challenged the various variant human races, Ichi-Z fought against the Immortal Venerable and lost, getting captured. But to the outside world, primordial origin declared that it was killed. Primordial origin Immortal Venerable held Ichi-Z captive and used it to produce immortal essence stones. Ichi-Z lost its freedom, unwilling to give in. It tried all ways to escape. No matter what it tried to do, primordial origin immortal venerable still foiled its plans. After him, star constellation took over. She was even more skilled at planning and was extremely perceptive. Ichizi had no choice but to suicide out of despair. This is the reason why he suicided in Heavenly Court. Yao Huang did not understand it. So how are they still producing immortal essence stones? Brilliance shone in giant sun immortal venerable's eyes, he muttered. So that's it. At this moment, giant sun immortal venerable finally understood why destined birth through luck revived Fei Wu. This was because his revival would give giant sun immortal venerable a way to replenish his immortal essence. This was more useful and beneficial to giant sun immortal venerable than rank 9 light goo. But luck path itself was an uncertainty. Giant sun immortal venerable could ensure that positive variables happened to benefit him, but he could not control the exact situation as that would involve controlling certainty. Chapter 2298, Yin-Yang Path, Multiple Pregnancy Goo. Chapter 2298, Yin-Yang Path, Multiple Pregnancy Goo. Fei Wu saw Yao Huang's expression of confusion and laughed. He explained happily, when a Goo master undergoes immortal ascension, they will have a fortuitous encounter known as natural inspiration. What is the cause of it? Heaven and earth chi contain heaven's will, while human chi contains human will. At this crucial moment, the three chi fuse together, meaning heaven's will and human will congregate, allowing the person to ask heaven and earth for answers regarding the profundities and truths of the world. This is because heavens will acknowledge the human will. Why? From what I see, once an aperture undergoes qualitative change, it will become an immortal aperture. This is an achievement that grants benefit to the world, but the heavenly Tao wants to see this happen. Thus, it rewards the human will. The specialty of unified essence, Ichi-Zi, lies here. Its body is made of the chi of unified essence, which is the fusion of three chi. Thus, it is able to receive the acknowledgement and reward of heaven's will at all times. Yao Huang stared with wide eyes. That means it is able to undergo natural inspiration at all times. Fei Wu shook his head. Strictly speaking, yes, but the truth is different. We all know that the three chi create the unified essence. It needs to be balanced carefully. If the lump of three chi loses balance, the goo cultivator will die. This is not true for Ichi-Zi. Failure to balance the three chi will not cause it to be in fatal danger. Instead, it will lose its rationality. Continuously controlling and balancing the three chi is too difficult. We have all undergone immortal ascension. It is already too tough for us to sustain the state of balancing the three chi for half a day. But unified essence, Ichi-Zi, has to undergo it at all times. Thus, after it expends all its effort or gets sick of balancing the three chi, its body will lose control of the three chi. This causes heaven's will and the human will to intertwine and result in chaos, causing it to lose its rationality. In this condition, it cannot even think normally. How can it make use of the natural inspiration? Regardless, as long as the chi of unified essence exists, heavens will still favors the human will. It will be willing to help. If this is an ordinary goo master who has not created the immortal aperture yet, they will only be able to interact with heaven's will and undergo natural inspiration. But Ichi-Zi is different. It has an immortal aperture already. Thus, when it is sane and clear-headed, its immortal aperture will produce immortal essence. When it is irrational and insane, its immortal aperture will produce immortal essence stones that contain heaven's will. Yao Huang finally understood everything. Unified essence, Ichi-Zi, was too special. Because of its unique physique, primordial origin immortal venerable gained immortal essence stones. But he only distributed rank 6 immortal essence stones after unified essence, Ichi-Zi, died. Star constellation assimilated with the Tao. Although she could control heaven's will to some extent, there was a limit to it. Thus, from then on, Heavenly Court could only produce rank 6 immortal essence stones. Fei Wu continued. Back then, I accidentally found unified essence, Ichi-Zi, in the fierce area. It was in a state of insanity, buried deep underground and unable to move. I spoke with it, but it could not respond clearly. Its answer was jumbled, but it cursed Heavenly Court's 2 venerables with deep hatred. After some time, I pieced together the story and deduced many truths behind the situation. I mobilized the entire Fei tribe and wanted to obtain unified essence.The. I expended immortal materials and modified killer moves to try and manipulate it. After completing my preparations, I went into the fierce area and execute my plan. But to think that unified essence.The. actually had its sanity. At that time, I could not back out anymore. I had to continue my plan forcefully. Fei tribe was wiped out, while unified essence.The. was also sealed by our Fei tribe's method. Without any accidents, it should still be trapped at the original spot. Ancestor, you only need to go retrieve it. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable nodded. He brought Fei Wu to the Jade Ring Fierce area. Northern Plains had 10 great fierce areas. Within them were countless desolate beast groups. Immemorial desolate beasts and plants were also not rare. Super forces had the ability to develop in them. But if a mistake happened, they would trigger a huge beast tide. Fei tribe's failure was one of the examples. Jade Ring Fierce area had more than 10 different rings of huge ancient trees that as one entered deeper into each ring, they would face more danger and threat. Unified essence.The. was hidden in the 6th ring. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable personally took action. He quickly arrived at it. Fei Wu had just revived and had no goo worms, but he was only giving directions towards his ancestor. He did not hide anything, but only said the truth. That after Giant Sun Immortal Venerable made his deductions, he used a newly modified luck path killer move. It triggered the arrangements of Fei tribe. After doing that, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable extracted a huge black pearl from deep underground. The black pearl was large as an elephant. It had a smooth surface and a deeply hidden aura. This is the result that our Fei tribe created. Even a legendary immemorial beast was sealed by us. Fei Wu looked at The as he sighed with deep emotions. He had grand ambitions that ended in failure, and the entire Fei tribe was wiped out. But thankfully, he was able to revive and use the arrangements they made to help their ancestor. This was all worth it. After inspecting for some time, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable saw through the information of Z using the intel from Fei Wu. Unified essence.The was a lump of the chi of unified essence. When it was sane, it would be in human form. The appearance would be hard to differentiate from actual people. When it stops balancing the 3 chi and they go into chaos, it would turn into a lump of the chi of unified essence. If there was more heaven chi, it would float higher. If there was more earth chi, it would sink into the ground. When Fei tribe fought against it, it had not regained its sanity fully. Thus, it could not use its full strength. Fei Wu and the rest made ample preparations. They deduced a killer move that countered unified essence.The, eventually sealing it here. Although Fei Wu was only rank 7, Fei tribe had many rank 8s in the past. They also had immortal goo houses that were the foundation of a super force. Most importantly, unified essence.The was not sane, so its strength could not be used properly. Without rationality, even Spectral Soul Demon Venerable could not take down Fairy Z Wei and Ing Wu Xie. A long time had passed by. Now, Fei tribe's killer move was already greatly weakened. The sealing effect had reached its limit. But even if Z regained freely, in its current condition, it would remain on the spot without regaining its senses. The Giant Sun Immortal Venerable looked through the chi of unified essence and inspected that deep within its immortal aperture, there were many rank 8 immortal essence stones. That the production of immortal essence was as natural as breathing to the immortal aperture origin core, with heavens will suppressing the human will the entire time. Legendary immemorial beast Z's immortal aperture had a large number of rank 8 immortal essence stones. Rank 6 immortal essence stones had little significance to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, but rank 8 immortal essence stones were different. While happy, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable also found a problem. There was a lot of heavens will inside these rank 8 immortal essence stones. If he wanted to absorb them, he would need to get rid of the heavens will. It was troublesome that if he handled it poorly, it would affect the conversion rate of the immortal essence stones. For example, one rank 8 immortal essence stone might only be able to produce half a bead of rank 8 immortal essence after getting rid of the heavens will. Rank 6 immortal essence stones had no such problem because the heavens will inside was too little. After considering it for a while, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable thought Back then, primordial origin immortal venerable made use of Ichi-Z. He also had rank 8 immortal essence stones, but only distributed the rank 6 version. He was not likely trying not to alert the variant human Gu immortals that by star constellation immortal venerables era. Ichi-Z suicided, and star constellation immortal venerable altered heaven's will. By fusing it with heavenly quartz origin core, they could only produce rank 6 immortal essence stones. However, where did the storage of rank 8 immortal essence stones go? Are they used up or hidden somewhere? If they are hidden, why did I not find them when I attacked Heavenly Court? Did Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtain them after ransacking Heavenly Court's treasury? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable shook his head. Afterwards, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was captured by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, made turned into her puppet. If he had obtained those valuable rank 8 immortal essence stones, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would have retrieved them, but the situation was clear. She had always been lacking immortal essence the entire time. No, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cultivates wisdom path. What if she is hiding it the entire time? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable frowned. His expression turned slightly solemn. If she has an abundant supply of immortal essence, why does she still lack it? In what area did she use the essence? Ever since Star Constellation Immortal Venerable refined Heavenly Court's wisdom path down marks, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had not inspected her situation anymore. As for Fang Yuan, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could inspect him easily each time. If that is the situation, then Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, how much are you hiding? How deep are your secrets? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable looked in the direction of Central Continent, Eastern Seed. Any Venerable has talent that is unimaginable to the average genius. Fang Yuan had already comprehended the information that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable handed to him in their transaction. He obtained what he wanted. Fang Yuan had already refined rank 5 Blood Skull Gu earlier. He was only using rank 4 Blood Skull Gu, but Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had a newly developed rank 5 version. But although it was a mortal Gu recipe, it had developed beyond the original limit of the world. This showed Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's immense talent. But rank 5 Blood Skull Gu only needed to extract a certain amount of bloodline from the target's kin. There was no need to slaughter the entire clan. There was also a method to produce twins that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had no choice but to hand over. The research results of Yin-Yang path that he was secretly looking into. Back then, in 88 True Yang building, there was the inheritance of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable regarding Yin-Yang path that the content was a method. To use it, a male and female Gu immortal had to cooperate, using copulation to extend the lifespan of one of them. But there was a flaw in this. If one gains lifespan, the other must lose lifespan. In other words, it was to transfer the lifespan of one person to the other. Right now, the Yin-Yang path research result that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable handed to Fang Yuan was much more complete and comprehensive than the one hidden in 88 True Yang building. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had grand ambitions in creating this path. He wanted to use Yin-Yang to describe all beings in the world. This was the same as Feng Jiugu's desire to use sound path to express all life in this world. But as Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's strength and knowledge increased, he recognized that his former ideology of Yin-Yang was very shallow. He eventually gave up on creating it. Although there were some research results in Yin-Yang path, it could not achieve a qualitative change to become a brand new path. At most, it could be used with other paths to occasionally create some unorthodox small gains. That Yin-Yang life extension method was one of such results. Another of such small gains were abortion Gu, safe pregnancy Gu, multiple pregnancy Gu, become pregnant Gu, reincarnation Gu, dead fetus Gu, and others. Multiple pregnancy Gu was what Fang Yuan wanted. Rank 1 could be used to produce one child. Rank 2 produced twins. Rank 3 produced triplets. Rank 4 produced quadruplets. And rank 5 produced quintuplets. Chapter 2299, Floating Refinement Hive. Chapter 2299, Floating Refinement Hive inside the Sovereign Immortal Apertured. So, can you tell me anything about my father? Gui Wefang Xiang looked at the hairy man Gu Immortal in front of him. Beside him, There was a female immortal, the hairy man Gu immortal 12th hair, took a look at the female immortal before casting his gaze at Gu Yue Fang Xiang. This female immortal was mermaid Lian Xin, that it turned out that after Gu Yue Fang Xiang passed the tribulation to become a Gu immortal and returned to the hairy man continent, he saw his mother, Steel Thread City Lord, who was in an unconscious state. Lian Xin had been helping him with his tribulation. She explained the truth of this world to him. Gu Yue Fang Xiang realized that to save his mother, he needed to make sufficient contributions to the great love immortal venerable of this world. In that case, he could use contribution points that he earned to issue a mission for those healing Gu immortals to heal his mother. Moreover, Lian Xin told Fang Xiang that this hairy man continent was governed by a hairy man Gu immortal. If he wanted to find his father, he could go and ask him that. Under Lian Xian's lead, Gu Yue Fang Xiang met 12th hair for the first time. He asked about the information regarding his father. 12th hair nodded. I do know something about your father, but that is from long ago. If you want to know, help me with something. Gu Yue Fang Xiang was a little hesitant. He did not agree immediately. Lian Xian saw this and immediately said, Friend 12th hair, Fang Xiang has just become an immortal. If you want to request a difficult task, we will have to decline. Gu Yue Fang Xiang casted a grateful gaze at Lian Xian. 12th hair laughed loudly. Friend Fang Xiang has half of our hairy man bloodline. Why will I bully him? Don't worry. This matter involves the arrangement of floating refinement hive. Oh, you have already refined this hive. Lian Xian was really surprised. 12th hair answered. With the method that our master created personally, we hairy man Gu immortals only had to follow the instructions to achieve success. Next, 12th hair looked at Fang Xiang. Floating refinement hive has already been created. You only need to place it inside refinement C. This is much easier than creating it. If you can complete the mission, I will tell you things about your father. Gu Yue Fang Xiang could not decide. He looked towards Lian Xian subconsciously. Lian Xian smiled at him and nodded. All right, I'll do it. Gu Yue Fang Xiang immediately decided. Thus, 12th hair transferred the floating refinement hive into Gu Yue Fang Xiang's immortal aperture. Gu Yue Fang Xiang saw the floating refinement hive for the first time. This structure was quite peculiar. It was large as a mountain, but had the appearance and structure of a beehive. There were many small spaces of various sizes. Inside, floating refinement hive had a narrow top and a broad bottom, which was the base of the hive. It could float on the sea and resist huge waves with great stability. This is amazing. Fang Xiang used investigative methods and observed. His eyes stared wide in amazement. 12th hair laughed and said in a proud tone, This is invented by our master. Of course, it is amazing that each floating refinement hive can be considered an incomplete, secluded domain of heaven and earth, that it contains countless refinement path down marks. If one refined Gu inside, not only will the success rate be much higher, they can even save on the cost of Gu refinement. Floating refinement hive can not only accommodate countless refinement path Gu masters, it can also hold 10 refinement path Gu immortals at most. With refinement path Gu immortals stationed here, the hive can continuously produce immortal Gu. Each floating refinement hive can be seen as a refinement path super resource point. All right, there is no time. Get going now. Fang Xiang nodded and immediately set off to Refinement C with Lian Xian. That Refinement C was at the center of mini Eastern Sea. It was not large compared to the other sea areas, but it had extraordinary value. This is a genuine secluded domain of heaven and earth. After hearing Lian Xian's explanation, Fang Yuan understood the value of refinement seed. Master is really amazing. His methods are unfathomable, like true immortal deities. He can even create his own secluded domain of heaven and earth. Fang Xiang praised continuously. The current refinement sea had already been completed by Fang Yuan. It was a genuine secluded domain of heaven and earth. Back then, Lang Yalan's spirit used calamities and tribulations to collect waterpath Dao marks and painstakingly built the incomplete refinement seed. After Fang Yuan obtained it, his speed of building it was many times faster. Firstly, Fang Yuan was a venerable. He was even stronger than long-hair ancestor, not to mention Lang Yalan's spirit. Secondly, Fang Yuan was a supreme grandmaster in refinement path. Yet the current supreme grandmaster was far superior to the supreme grandmaster of the past. Thirdly, Fang Yuan had sovereign immortal body with non-conflicting Tao marks. He could use methods of any path. He directly used water path methods that were far more efficient than Lang Yalan Spirit's idea. Fang Xiang soon found his destination. But there was a need to create an immortal formation here. The content was much more difficult than he imagined. That was because there was more than one floating refinement hive in the current refinement sea. There were many other hives. Arranging the floating refinement hive was not as simple as dumping it here. It needed a stable location to form a certain connection with the surrounding floating refinement hives. After the floating refinement hives reached a certain number, the immortal formation would activate and cause all the hives to float around with the waves of refinement sea. They were like ink pens that drew a painting on this refinement sea as the canvas. Refinement sea helped the refinement hives to refine goo, while the refinement hives replenished the refinement sea after it was expended greatly. This was a grand system that was established. Under Lian Kuexion's guidance and cooperation, Fang Xiang started arranging the immortal formation. 3 days later, they only completed 10% of it. This will not do. It is too slow. Lian Kuexion immediately decided as she used some contribution points to post a mission to recruit helpers. Not long after, a Gu Immortal came. I am a newly advanced formation path Gu Immortal, and I Lao Shi. This Ni clan Gu Immortal was a purebred human. He accepted Lian Kuexion's mission. With his help, there was rapid progress. 3 days passed. The arrangement of refinement hive was finally completed. Fang Xiang and Ni Lao Shi left with lingering reluctance. They became good friends after 3 days. Fang Xiang had spent his entire life on the Hairy Man continent. He rarely interacted with humans. He knew that his father was a human, so he bore curiosity and good feelings for them. Ni Lao Shi was honest and loyal. It was natural that they became good friends. Fang Xiang's perspective of the humans improved again, but after completing 12th Hair's mission, he returned to the Hairy Man continent and asked about his father. As for Ni Lao Shi, he took a sum of contribution points from Lian Kuexion and immediately went back to his clan. After returning to Ni clan's territory, he was welcomed by the entire clan's cheers. Ni clan was originally situated in southern border. It was moved into the sovereign immortal aperture by Fang Yuan to research the human path Gu refinement method. Right now, Fang Yuan became a refinement path venerable. Ni clan lost its value but still remained in the sovereign immortal aperture to develop. Ni clan had several Gu immortal seeds, but the least outstanding Ni Lao Shi actually succeeded in the immortal ascension. With a Gu immortal, Ni clan became a super force. Ni Lao Shi assembled the higher-ups of Ni clan and expressed his thoughts to them. One of Master's clones has some gains from researching Dream Path. He is able to create a Dream Path formation to raise the aptitude of an entire clan. I already have sufficient contribution points. I'll bring you to the formation now. What do you think? Seeing that Ni Lao Shi had become an immortal but did not forget his roots, the higher-ups were very moved that he still cared about their development. They nodded their heads in agreement. Ni Lao Shi placed the clansman into his immortal aperture as he set off to find Meng Qiuzhen. After Ni Lao Shi paid his respects and stated his intention, Meng Qiuzhen brought him to a Dream Path formation. Ni Lao Shi paid the necessary contribution points. As Meng Qiuzhen activated the formation, the former opened his immortal aperture door and let out his clansmen, who walked into the Dream Path formation. Will there be any issues? Ni Lao Shi stared with a fixed gaze until the final Ni clansman walked into the formation. He had an expression of worry as he said that, especially when his parents were among them. But Meng Qiuzhen smiled lightly as he shook his head. How can that be? Don't worry. Saying so, he activated the formation. At the next moment, all the Ni clansmen who entered the formation fell onto the ground as some started snoring. They had all fallen asleep. However, there was a chain of explosions that soon followed. These Ni clansmen had all self-detonated and died in their dreams. Their blood was extracted by the formation and pumped into the sole surviving Ni clansman. After completing everything, Human C, who was deep within the formation, also activated. Thus, the self-detonated Ni clansmen were revived, but they remained asleep. How many clans have already come to this place? Ni Laoshi asked. There were 4. You are the 5th clan. Meng Qiuzhen said. Don't worry, this formation is very safe. At the same time, the Ni clansmen started the second round of self-detonation, but this time, the final survivor was switched to another person. Like this, they were revived and slaughtered continuously until all the Ni clan members' aptitude rose. Meng Qiuzhen stopped the formation and woke them up. Immediately, waves of astonishment hit the Ni clansmen as they cheered and shouted with loud voices, Amazing, my aptitude improved. What method is this? It is so strong, so strong. Ni Laoshi is a really good child. He did not forget us even after immortal ascension. He repaid us fully. Ni Laoshi inspected everyone. Almost all of them had a great aptitude. This is truly a miracle. I guess only someone like Master can perform such legendary acts. Ni Laoshi was very shocked. His admiration towards Fang Yuan grew deeper, but he did not know the truth. Dream path formation. No, this was clearly a blood path formation, but dream path was a great cover that could convince many Gu immortals that after all, they had all fallen asleep. It was quite similar to dream path methods, so this seemed quite normal on the surface. Chapter 2300. Born with a rank 5 Gu. Fang Yuan's divine sense spread rapidly in the sovereign immortal aperture. Maybe I should build some small wisdom path formations so my divine sense can spread here more easily. Fang Yuan thought. His divine sense was moving at a rapid speed, but the sovereign immortal aperture was just too big. It was too troublesome for Fang Yuan to look into his immortal aperture closely each time he entered. Ordinary Gu immortals had no such issue. Although their immortal aperture was called a small world, it could not compare to Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Not long after, Fang Yuan's divine sense reached the destination, mini Western Desert, Inkman City. There was a family at an unassuming corner of the city. The man of the family was a young Inkman Gu master. He had limited aptitude and only had rank 2 cultivation. Currently, he had a nervous expression as he paced outside the room. Wah! The crying of a baby could be heard coming from within the room. The man immediately showed an expression of joy. He rushed into the room and saw his wife and the female doctor who he had hired at a high price. The female doctor was hiding a male Inkman baby. He was very small and ugly, but was healthy. Everything is normal, except... The female doctor smiled at the man and directed her gaze to the baby's arm.I in his hands. There were a pair of Gu worms. They were bone-flesh unity Gu. The female doctor had an expression of shock. Because she was the doctor here, she saw that this pair of Gu worms were born alongside the baby. If I had not been here the entire time, I would not have believed this. Is this the effect of the pregnancy temple? The female doctor asked the male Inkman. The male Inkman saw this immediately. His eyes turned red after seeing the Gu worms. With his strength and wealth, he would need to expend a vast amount of time and effort to get such Gu worms. But now, this pair of rare Gu worms was born alongside his son. This was such a huge surprise. The male Inkman nodded. He said chokingly, Yes, after the pregnancy temple was built, my wife and I went to give it a try. To think that it really worked. The female doctor sighed and said, You must not be the only one. This pregnancy temple really works as they said. It can help you to rapidly have children, and if lucky, they will be born with Gu worms. The male Inkman wanted to speak, but hesitated. The female doctor casted him a gaze of suspicion. On the bed, the weak female Inkman spoke now. She wanted the doctor to test their bloodline. The female doctor was stunned. She realized that they were worried this baby was not their own. Immediately after, the test was completed. It was a joyful ending. This is my son. I finally have a son. Oh goodness, I finally have a son. The male Inkman had no hesitation anymore. He held the baby and cried tears of joy. Fang Yuan's divine sense observed the scene and left quietly. This pregnancy temple was his arrangement. There were many of such mortal Gu houses. After Fang Yuan built them, he placed them all over the sovereign immortal aperture for the people to use. Pregnancy temple was a human path immortal Gu house. The core human path Gu worms it used included become pregnant Gu, triplet Gu, dead fetus Gu, multiple pregnancy Gu, and safe pregnancy Gu. It even used a large number of time path and refinement path Gu worms. The actual effect of pregnancy temple was to extract the yin-yang qi of the male and female to activate become pregnant goo and make the female pregnant. After that, it would use triplet goo to turn the fetus into triplets. After that, 2 of the fetuses would be used as goo materials after dead fetus goo activated, while the final one would be protected by safe pregnancy goo. The 2 dead fetuses would be refined as bone-flesh unity goo, born together with the final fetus. The entire process of the pregnancy to childbirth would not take more than 7 days. This was the effect of time path goo worms.I. In that case, the sovereign immortal aperture's population would rise rapidly. Once the population went up, more clans would be created, and under the effect of the dream path method, their aptitudes would rise together and produce more goo immortal seeds. Throughout the process, the citizens of the sovereign immortal aperture would feel more admiration and love towards their great leader Fang Yuan. They would feel indebted to him. It was clear that they would become increasingly loyal to him. The bone-flesh unity goo that comes with the baby act as the vital goo and is refined naturally. Once these babies are born, they will have a rank 5 vital goo. After bone-flesh unity goo reaches a certain level, they will switch to other goo worms. In that case, the growth of these babies will be accelerated. Fang Yuan planned inwardly that it was not hard for the current him to achieve this. It was completely a breeze. He used the human body goo refinement method, which was one of the peak profundities of refinement path, originating from Ni clan. When Ni clan's bloodline reach a certain density, the current generation Ni Xiang would be born with an immortal goo appearing in their body. Fang Yuan was only producing mortal goo now. When Giant Sun Immortal Venerable created yin-yang path, the essence was in goo. Worms like abortion goo, safe pregnancy goo, and multiple pregnancy goo. All the past venerables have comprehended some human path killer moves from the legends of Renzu, but these methods are too profound and not suited for the masses. Thus, Heavenly Court arranged for Divine Emperor City to develop the foundation of human path. The truth is, there is a very special man among the venerables. He had actually created many foundational mortal goo of human path, but had always kept them to himself and did not popularize them. The prospect and development of human path is truly great. Fang Yuan sighed. Higher-level human path killer moves were able to easily turn the situation of the fate war around, while lower-level methods had incredible use. Fang Yuan was certain that human path was not inferior to heaven path. Most importantly, human path had not developed yet. Human path is suppressed by the heavenly Tao. Just these human path mortal goo that are created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable have such a terrifying effect. How can the heavenly Tao that emphasizes balance allow such a qualitative change in the growth of humanity? Fang Yuan was increasingly understanding why Heavenly Court was focusing on developing human path. Heavenly Court had always been tampering with heavens while using fake goo as their pillar. After fake goo was destroyed, Heavenly Court became the #1 superforce that heavens will disliked. Being unable to use heaven's will, Heavenly Court decided to develop human path instead. But why would star constellation Immortal Venerable not know about the weakness of the derivation formation? Fang Yuan had a deep and eerie gaze. Derivation formation was situated in Heavenly Court. Any research results that it produced would be known by heaven's will. This meant that as those goo cultivators who entered the derivation formation grew, the heavenly Tao also grew together with them. But even if the heavenly Tao gained from this, star constellation Immortal Venerable still had benefits to gain from using the derivation formation. She could develop herself to surpass the other venerables. It was possible that in her plan, she would first eliminate the other venerables and make Heavenly Court the dominating force before dealing with heaven's will. Thus, star constellation Immortal Venerable has not entered the derivation formation herself, or is she waiting for a chance? Fang Yuan guessed to himself at least. Fang Yuan knew that Crazed Demon Cave was the most suitable place to put the derivation formation. The first 7 layers of Crazed Demon Cave could not isolate heaven's will, but the 8th and 9th layers were safe. Other than that, Fang Yuan could not see any other possibilities that it would not work if one placed the derivation formation into a venerable aperture. Because the wild derivation goo was rank 9, it contained too much heaven's will. If placed into the venerable's immortal aperture, the heaven's will within would connect with the heaven's will of the 5 regions, allowing the venerable to be detected by heaven's will. Fang Yuan had once suffered a loss from this. Limitless demon venerable created the crazed demon formation, but star constellation immortal venerable must have been a part of it. After all, the formation needs wisdom path's help. This is also why star constellation immortal venerable held the initiative in crazed demon cave. After returning to heavenly court, she easily created the derivation formation. But crazed demon cave itself must have been made by limitless demon venerable alone. Star constellation immortal venerable does not know of its profundity. Otherwise, it will be the first thing she constructs. Fang Yuan's divine sense continued to search. There were many families in Inkman City that had given birth to children. The situation was quite successful. Each newborn had a bone-flesh unity goo as their vital goo. Come to speak of it, bone-flesh unity goo's recipe was modified by Fang Yuan. Rank 8 wisdom goo was of some help to Fang Yuan. During this period of time, he easily raised wisdom goo to rank 8. In addition, refinement C and human C were completed. It was just that human C lacked. Human Mountain. It was not a complete secluded domain now and could still be expended. The cost of reviving mortals was much cheaper than goo immortals. It could last for a very long time. Other than human C and refinement C, Fang Yuan had also collected many fragments of the Qian Kuan crystal wall. Most of the Qian Kuan crystal wall fragments scattered in Eastern Sea, Southern Border, and Western Desert were currently in Fang Yuan's hands. As for the other 2 regions, because of the existence of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Fang Yuan did not ask about them when he used Stealing Heavenly Secret. The complete Qian Kuan crystal wall was even stronger than Stealing Heavenly Secret. It contained the information of all situations that happened in the world. If Stealing Heavenly Secret was said to be a ladle that was drawing water from the vat, then the Qian Kuan crystal wall was the vat itself. According to Fang Yuan's understanding after using Stealing Heavenly Secret, the complete Qian Kuan crystal wall could create primordial domain. Moving his divine sense, Fang Yuan left Inkman City and came to Mini Eastern Sea to inspect the floating refinement hives. These floating refinement hives were arranged appropriately. There were no issues. They were originally derived from the Fang Yuan stone nest. Back then, Fang Yuan had the concept of a production line. He created these stone nests and arranged for many hairy man goo masters to refine goo. Right now, each of the floating refinement hives were an incomplete, secluded domain of heaven and earth. They were far superior to the Fang Yuan stone nest back then. There were already many hairy man goo masters in some of the floating refinement hives. The first batch of goo worms to refine were relic goo and connecting heaven goo. After Fang Yuan's divine sense looked around for a while, he left again. After a while, under the control of his divine sense, countless goo worms expended his rich reserves of rank 9 immortal essence to activate an immortal killer move, Endless Trouble. The core immortal goo of this move was rank 8 after. It could delay the current calamity or tribulation to the next time and face them together. Fang Yuan had already modified this killer move and used it many times that he adjusted the sovereign immortal aperture's time flow to make it much faster. This caused calamities and tribulations to occur more frequently, but each time, Fang Yuan used Endless Trouble killer move to delay them to the next tribulation. Such an action infuriated Heaven's will. When the actual tribulation occurs, it would be extremely strong, for this was a flaw that Fang Yuan could benefit from. Even if the tribulations erupted with the anger of Heaven's will and became more powerful, Fang Yuan was confident of passing them and getting a large number of Dao marks.